Today's presentation is on the documentary named Gaby Baby. Gaby Baby is a 2015 film based on 4 children raised by same-sex parents, Gus, Ebony, Graham and Matt. Gaby Baby observes and profiles each of these children to represent a different question or issue voiced when people talk about same-sex families. Gaby Baby explores contemporary issues such as family, gender, sexuality and parenting through the voice of a child. Each child is going through an individual struggle and is portrayed in a raw manner. Firstly, Gus is a 10-year-old boy discovering his masculinity and the macho world, in particular that of the WWE wrestling. However, the violence associated with wrestling is everything Gus's mother hates about the masculine culture and does not feel an appropriate role model for her son. Then we have Ebony, a 12-year-old girl struggling to fit in. Ebony dreams of attending the prestigious Newton Performing Arts and is forced to question what is truly important in her life. Next is Graham, an 11-year-old boy who through neglect is illiterate, so unable to read. And lastly we have Matt, an 11-year-old boy who is stuck in a battle between his birth mother's strong faith and the church's disapproval of same-sex couples. Gaby Baby represents all children of same-sex parents, whether 2 mothers, 2 fathers, or of transgender. Within Australia, the number of same-sex couples is growing year by year, with figures showing that currently 12% of same-sex couples have children. The values represented in Gaby Baby are those of religion and culture, with many churches and cultural groups being opposed to same-sex relationships with the idea that it is unnatural. This is acknowledged through the eyes of the character Matt. The assumptions represented in Gaby Baby are those of the health of the child, physical, social and emotional. This through the eyes of the character Gus. And the stereotypes raised are those of being a role model to your child. So similar to the assumption of the health of a child, a stereotype is associated with same-sex parents being a role model for 2 men raising a girl and 2 women raising a boy. For example, when a girl is going through puberty, they may find it more beneficial to seek advice from an adult female who has gone through it rather than 2 men who have no experience with it. The first ethical issue raised in Gaby Baby is that of the law, in particular the Family Law Act of 1975 and the Child Support Act of 1989. Recently, the definitions of families, and in particular that of parents, has changed to provide more support to the continually evolving family situations. This including same-sex couples, lesbian couples where the sperm donor is known and involved in the life of the child, separated same-sex families where both parents continue to co-parent, and multi-parent families where both gay and lesbian couples parent as a group. The second ethical issue is that of religion. And the third is that of medical, in particular donor insemination and IVF. Donor insemination is a fertility procedure in which frozen donor sperm is thawed and inserted into a woman's uterus. This in order to achieve pregnancy. Whereas IVF is a medical procedure whereby an egg is fertilised by sperm within a test tube. And currently, all states and territories within Australia, except Northern Territory, provide IVF to same-sex relationships.
Gaby Baby represents family diversity. No longer are all children within schools raised by heterosexual biological parents, and this film tries to give an insight into those minority families that are raising their children in a same-sex relationship, despite their marriage not actually being a legal union in Australia. Gaby Baby presents family diversity by following 4 children with parents who are in a same-sex relationship. Every child is dealing with their own issues relating to culture or religion, and it shows the family reaction and how often, because they're not seen as being a legal union, the parents really struggle with dealing with schooling or social aspects for the children and being able to make their life as mainstream and normal as possible. Gay Baby was filmed prior to the 2017 same-sex marriage debate, and I have watched it prior to this and then post this. Prior to this, I guess I felt a lot of frustration. It was really sad to see how often the children are going through struggles that they really shouldn't have to, simply because they want to be accepted by society. But then I also had a lot of compassion and understanding. I felt that the way the parents deal with their children is incredible, because it's essentially how any parent would deal with their children. They have a loving relationship, and this film really tries to show society that these families are no different to any other family, and that they should have the same respect and the same ability to care for their children like anyone else. There was no point where I felt uncomfortable watching Gay Baby. I strongly believe that same-sex marriage should have been recognised long before 2017. However, it was at times really hard to see, because these children are quite young and they're grappling with situations that probably other children wouldn't have to deal with. For example, I found Matt an incredible young boy who, at a very young age, was already recognising whether or not religion was something for him, and he showed such compassion towards his mother. Yet he just wasn't too sure if he really believed it, because religion didn't believe in his mum. So in that sense, I found it really interesting, and at times just very eye-opening to watch. I think Gay Baby is a really interesting artifact to watch, just to get an insight into same-sex marriage relationships if you haven't had that exposure before. However, as a teacher, you should always be thinking about the children's welfare from the get-go, and therefore this shouldn't change your perspective. You should always be looking to treat all children the same. You never know what their home life is, and children with same-sex marriage home life might actually have a better home life than one that's being raised by their biological heterosexual parents. You just never know. But it should, I guess, change the way you teach in terms of family examples and making sure that everyone is included. So bringing in the same-sex couples, bringing in heterosexual couples, bringing in divorced couples, so that all children can relate to your topics and your teaching.